All right, so I'll get to the demo in a second, but I'll just tell you a little bit about the problem we're trying to solve to begin with. So my name is Navin Thadani, and I'm with a company called Evinced. Imagine for a second that you are like 1.5 billion other people in the world that have some form of disability. It could be vision related, ranging from low vision to color blindness to complete blindness. It could be motor related, where you can't use your hands or you don't have complete control of your hands. It could be auditory related. And there are a variety of disabilities that people have, and there are 1.5 billion people. So the question is, how do these people access the internet? How do they access web applications? How do they access mobile applications? And the answer is they use what we call assistive technology in order to do so. Assistive technology could be of many different kinds. You can have, in fact, I'm sure some of you might see on your phone, you can magnify it to 200%, 400%. You can do that even on your browser. So some of you might even use that. That is a form of assistive technology. People who are blind and cannot see use screen readers to interoperate with websites. Now, accessibility, which is what we do, is all about making your digital assets, like your websites and web applications and mobile apps, interoperate with these assistive technologies. And so far, the problem has been that this is extremely hard to do. It's not easy to make your websites and web applications accessible. This is the problem that Evinced is solving, okay? And typically what enterprises have been doing before we came around is that they would rely exclusively on a manual testing process. So they would build their website, and then they would, at the end of everything being done, somebody would come in and test for accessibility. If you're, it's akin to building a car, which is a really complex machine. It's got multiple components. Imagine if a car manufacturer didn't test any components at all. They just threw whatever they had to in there, and at the end of it, when the car came out the production lot, then you test it. It's going to be a disaster. It's the same thing with accessibility. If you don't test accessibility while you're building your website, you're going to end up with something that's a disaster from an accessibility point of view. It's very obvious. And yet we see enterprises, that's the only way that they could do it, because there was no real technology to help them. So what we do at Evinced is try to help enterprises integrate accessibility into their software development lifecycle. So basically the way software is built is you have designers, then it goes to developers, then it goes to testing, automated testing, then it goes to maybe QA and production, right? So we build tools to help enterprises integrate accessibility into the design process. So designers are always putting out accessible designs, developers are always writing as accessible code as possible. When it goes into automated testing, all your automated tests are running, that's all cool. They're also automatically checking for accessibility, and that's what we do. So I'm going to show you the state of the art today in the industry. This is a little bit less about the ethics aspect of things. It's more about using AI for something that's ethical. That's the way we look at it. So let me show you a little thing here. How much can I go? I don't think that, oh, that's the mic. Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. So let's assume this is my website. You can probably see it on the screen. It's very simple. It's meant to be able to go book a vacation somewhere, okay? You want to go to the mountains, get away for a little bit and all that. Now, if I go here, I just ran an analysis. This is Google's product. So if you run an analysis, an accessibility analysis using Lighthouse, which is Google's product, it'll turn around and say this website that I showed you earlier is 100% accessible. There's nothing wrong with it from an accessibility point of view. So you think you're cool, everything is good, right? But actually speaking, I don't know what Google is saying, or whatever the open source project that they're using under the covers, I don't care what they say, this site is totally not accessible. And I'll show it to you in a second, okay? So if I just tab, you see the first place I tabbed once, and the first place I tabbed to essentially is this date picker out here. So I missed the first drop down, I missed the second drop down, I went straight to the date picker. And it turns out that I can actually traverse the date picker just fine, and you'll see there's no problem here. But it'll also miss the search button and it'll go straight down. So again, Google, which is one of the most advanced technology companies, is telling me that the site is accessible, but I just showed you with a simple, quick test that nobody can use this site. Anybody with a disability who is navigating with a keyboard can't do it, won't be able to book anything. Anybody using a pointing device won't be able to do it. Anybody using a screen reader won't be able to do it. So, I don't know, it's certainly not accessible to us. But we have tried to build some technology here that does it differently. We do a different kind of an analysis. Oh, please make this thing work right now. Okay, there we go. All right. So with Evinced, this is just one of our tools. And what we do is we built this little browser extension. It's really easy to see, and that's why I'm showing you this. But the moment I do that, I went and found 6 issues automatically on this page. So we are able to automatically detect all the accessibility problems that one can have on these particular websites using computer vision and AI and other things like that, other algorithms that are in that domain. And this is really interesting because what we've done here right now in literally a fraction of a second would have taken a human more than a day to do properly, to go through all of the accessibility guidelines and checks. Even for this one simple page or 2 pages like this would take a very, very long time. So this is an example. It's, again, as I said in the beginning, it's less to do with sort of the ethics of AI, but using AI for something ethical. We like to think of ourselves, relating it back to today's topics of the ethics behind it. The data we use is what you would define as low risk because it's not personal data, people data, privacy, things like that. It's not so much the case. But the way this works from a technology perspective is we use computer vision and AI models to identify what these elements are on the page. Okay? That's the first step. We do that. And then with that knowledge, with that context of what these elements are on the page, we can look at the code underneath and figure out, aha, that's implemented in the wrong way. And then we can flag that for the developers and suggest how they should fix it so it becomes really easy and instantaneous to do that. So that's the kind of technology that we've built. And it's, again, AI for an ethical purpose. Any questions? Oh, by the way, just so you know, sorry, I didn't give you a background context, but this kind of technology is now being used by very large banks, Capital One, Indeed, Chase, CVS, Aetna, Salesforce. A lot of these are our customers. They go about using Evinced to kind of help make their digital assets accessible. And that's mobile apps, web apps, websites, things like that.